Good afternoon. I'm Daniel Miller, and this is the Gaming Dialogue News. A warm welcome to all of our friends, fans, community members, participants, and everyone watching us on a variety of different platforms worldwide. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for being our dedicated community members. I'm having a bit of a strange day today, I've got to say. The second strange day in a row. I woke up feeling quite good and well rested, but without my hearing. I couldn't hear a thing. I then realised that I had some discomfort a couple of days ago when I've gone swimming, to which I felt there was some water in my ears. And I think I developed like a double ear infection. I can't hear a thing, honestly. And I had to be testing my audio as the sound did not get recorded properly during our yesterday's Destiny game broadcast. And it's just like so weird, you know. I can hear myself from inside of my head, and I had to test the audio, and then my hearing was just like literally receding as I went on. Really very, very uncanny. I can barely hear anything on either ears and on my ears, and yeah, I've got to be doing my streams today, and it's all really very unusual. I've never done it before with that sort of impairment that would be affecting me. I still can deliver my speeches and my vocals and read the news and tell you all that's going on, and in addition to the elements which appear to be not too nice. And the other thing is it's affecting my jaw, and it's hurting so much, you know. So it's I've had it a couple of times before. It does happen to us regular swimmers if, for instance, the concentration of chlorine is quite high in the swimming pool, and then sometimes it kind of irritates the wax you have in ears, and then, you know, it becomes really uncomfortable, difficult, and unpleasant, and interferent, and everything else. So without further ado, I will not be spending more time on this, but it's so weird. I can't hear myself at all. I keep talking. Hopefully it will come across all right as always, but we'll see on the recordings. And the other thing I've been doing of late is, as we are trying to really professionalize the setup in here and have some extra add-ons and, you know, high-tech gadgets and all sorts, I want everything to be tipped up. So unlike in the past, I have been listening to myself, and that itself was quite an experience. Let me just double check something. And I had to be checking in order to see whether, you know, the delivery was good enough and the sound was properly recorded and all of these kinds of things. And there is a serious problem in here. Bear with me. I suddenly realized that my Twitch stream was not delivering something which should be here right from the start. Yeah, so that'll do. Right. Coming back to what I said earlier, testing sound when you're not really having your hearing abilities is definitely burdensome, and yeah, we'll see how it goes on really today. Lots of things have happened since yesterday. First of all, I want to thank our participants in the gaming session. We had Sakapupu and we had Zandy joining us, and Sand Peach. We did go through quite a lot of different activities, and mainly we've gone through Onslaught. I have to apologize to our viewers. If you wanted to see Pantheon, we all want to do it, but we discovered that with the exception of Sakapupu, other community members had not gone in yet, and they wanted to try Pantheon somewhat before having it screened live online, and therefore I was unable to get 6 people who are from our community and who know each other to present it to the world. And, you know, we'll try to do this as soon as possible, but I thought really as a prelude to very hectic activities of Pantheon, we were cracking on with Onslaught, and Onslaught is equally good and exciting and hectic and all else. and you have 50 rounds which you need to get through in order to get the best loot. So all 3 members have got to be alive in order for that to be completed. And we had a few deaths, but generally not too many. And generally we were doing quite well with lots of eliminations of the beasts and opponents, and we completed it in 66 minutes. And that was thoroughly enjoyable, and we had a lot of fun and good loot in the end. In addition to that, I have taken quite a few screenshots and clips, and anybody who's interested can simply go to our Twitter. And I keep saying to everyone in our community, please do not just connect here on Twitch, because Twitch is not really so well developed for kind of social networking when it comes to messages and posting on clips and screenshots and, you know, stories and memes and all else. People use Discord for that, but Discord is not really a publicly accessible forum. It's more like an internal messaging service like WhatsApp in between different gamers. So Twitter still remains the very best for these kinds of community-based shares, and I frequently post my gaming activity with screenshots and clips on Twitter. And as we are progressing here with our charitable fundraising and with our streams here, I will be giving you a lot more of that on an everyday basis, and that will sometimes combine my own gaming activity, which is outside of our live broadcast, as well as what we do together as a group and within our community. So if you are interested, we have a delightful clip of that wonderful meme in Destiny 2 where 2 gamers can start dancing, and they dance together in a very sort of intimate encounter. And I would invite everyone to have a look at the way this comes across, because it is indeed very, very appetizing, and it is really so cool when you are coming to the end of your celebrations, you have completed a very difficult activity. Sakapupa reminds me, some of these things are called endgame activities, like the exotic quest which we pursued towards the end of my stream. That was a real headache, I have to say. He did say that the activity was interesting and not boring, but he knew, Sakapupu, if you're listening, you will know that you knew that I'm not very keen on jumping, and this exotic quest is literally 85% jumps, and really tricky ones in various areas where you can barely see anything, at least on my PlayStation. And that itself was really, really difficult and really burdensome. And you can watch it on YouTube. You can see how beautifully I kept failing. And eventually, as we reached the end, I kind of missed the time somewhat by a couple of minutes, and therefore we were cut off. Otherwise we would have eliminated the boss. It was just taking maybe extra couple of minutes. Gail is here. Hello Gail, how are you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Just telling a bit I'm telling our community members a bit about the activities we had yesterday during our Destiny 2 gameplay live online. And Sakapupu was astonished that I managed to die more than 50 times in the course of one single exotic quest. And I really have a lot of fun at times when I'm dying. Sometimes it can be frustrating if I was doing that by myself, but doing it in a group is always good fun. And really, what caused the death was miscued jumps, in addition to the fact that I couldn't really see where I was going too well. It's interesting, on the Twitch display I had very good quality image, but when I was watching it on my screen, which is 60-inch and connects to PlayStation, everything was dead dark. Even increased the brightness to the level 7, still appeared to be very dark. Not sure why, but that caused a bit of a hiccup. In addition to myself not being, I'm not a keen jumper, and really, when it comes to the triple jump and double jump, I don't really think they deliver too well on controllers. I might be mistaken, but I have seen the PC players doing it much better than the rest of us. And even in the old days where we just played Destiny 1 on consoles, it was still an issue for me. Be it with myself or my controller, I'm not sure. But one of those, it must have been one of the reasons. And most likely it's just a lack of skill and a lack of enthusiasm about that sort of activity. But we've gone through it, and I didn't complete it because the boss remained alive with maybe 2 or 3% of health at the end of that deadly and very arduous mission. So if you want to do it, it's part of the new inclusion into the light, and It's thoroughly embraced by various community members. Lots of people are loving it and doing it together with all other activities and collecting good loot and you name it. And it kind of blends in, I think, with the grading of the difficulty, at least for myself. And if you do it, just keep it in mind. If you're not very good with jumping or anything to do with that sort of height-based activity, then make sure you have some teammates on board who are going to be helping you and telling you where to go and all else. And it's a bit like a maze, similar to some of the activities we had during the last year, seasonal content, and quite tricky. I find it very tricky. Correct me if I'm mistaken. Maybe other people find it very easy and pedestrian. I know some of the veterans will say, that's nothing. But in any case, for myself, it has been difficult. And I will attempt it again. And maybe again with Sukapupu. To be fair, it's the first time I've gone through it. So I probably was kind of tapping in the dark somewhat. Second time around, I will know exactly what to do and where to go, etc. So it'll be somewhat easier, but still, my jumping skills will not be massively enhanced. Therefore, I can warn everyone. Maybe just boring to watch. On the other hand, I find it hilarious when you see people failing. And it is also part and parcel of what we do here within our community, where we try to sort of teach others and guide them towards a particular goal. And many of our community members are very, very good in that position of a tutor. Sukapupu was very good yesterday. I was not impatient, was not racing, and helped me tremendously. However, irrespective of that, I kept falling into the abyss. And that was the end of that. So if you're interested, and if you want to see what we've been doing yesterday in Destiny, just go to Twitter. Follow the Twitter, of course, and then you'll see all the clips. I have 3 clips and 8 screenshots, all of them immortalizing our activities yesterday in Onslaught, and then I have no clips from the Exotic Quest, but the Onslaught had been definitely well captured. Right, so let me think. Today we have quite a lot of news coming in, but before we get into this, I had a few questions coming from our community members, and they're actually in response to my podcast on Destiny, which was aired live on Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken. The questions were really linked to the way Destiny was created, its ideas, concept art, and a few other issues which would have came to our community members' mind, and I'll give you the questions and everything that has been said. In addition to that, I had a few of our friends asking me, you've been away for so long, you must have been playing quite a lot of different games. What are you up to at the moment when you are not doing Destiny? And if you recall, early in the week, I talked about ID at Xbox, the regular annual presentation. Actually, it's not annual, it's several times a year, but a big presentation that Xbox is supporting and presenting various independent developers who are working on different games and telling us a bit about the state of play with the status of these games and potential release dates. And you get some trailers and a rundown on all else by the members of the development team. So it's very, very good, very interesting to watch. And sometimes if you watch it through IGN, they will give you their reviews of the games, perhaps which are receiving updates or have been around for a little while in development, and it's very interesting to combine the two. The presentation is about 3 hours long, and the actual section dedicated to new games is just over an hour. So make sure that you're watching pre-show of the actual screening and then post-show discussions. They will be highly illuminating, and I can assure you, you will find the games of tremendous quality, which are thoroughly enjoyable, with loads of inventions and different ideas that perhaps do not live up to the potential of AAA blockbuster with Hollywood-style graphics and massive amount of people involved with the creation of beautiful backgrounds and lead characters. So the graphics may be on the older retro style side, but the concepts and the ideas, the dialogue and everything else is absolutely phenomenal. And in view of this, I had downloaded about 20 independent games which are presently on Xbox, and that's on the Game Pass. You can play them at any time, whenever you wish. And I have not been playing some of them. I should say I have looked at them, but not played them in order to complete these games generally are fairly short, and you can complete them in maybe anything between 6 to 12 hours. So, we have Gail there, and Gail saying hello, also asking me whether my day's been good so far. Well, I have to tell you, Gail, my day has not been too good. I did wake up with some earache, and then I realized that I'm suffering from a mild ear infection, and I lost hearing on both ears. So when I'm talking now, I can just hear myself from the inside of my head. I can't actually hear myself either through headphones or elsewhere, and it's a bit weird. It's a bit strange, feeling like an android, you know. But at the end of the day, that's been caused by swimming and chlorine irritation in my ears. So I have to really get some drops and get it all cleared, which is really, really annoying. But so the day did start a bit later, and then it delayed me as I had to really attend to that first. And there were a few other things which unexpectedly popped up, such as testing the audio with very, very sort of impaired hearing, and needing to double upload the clips from yesterday. They were not uploaded to PlayStation Network for some reason. Triple checks here and there, and that sort of thing. So it's been all right so far. But as I said, I don't like waking up with that sort of health problem, which is then impairing my abilities to talk and do other things. And sadly, that indeed has been the case at the moment. So thank you for asking. But I'm as I said, slightly under the weather. Also, I'm recovering from sciatica. I've had sciatica now for quite a few months, and it's not gone in full, and I have to be very careful not to be aggravating again. So, these health issues have been plaguing me, really, for some time, and I'm doing everything possible in terms of physiotherapy and medical treatments and everything to get rid of them, or to get everything else in order. Coming back to the independent games, what I mentioned is I've downloaded about 20 games from the Game Pass, and all of them I've looked at on the days when they came out. I do that every single day for anything that comes as new on the Game Pass. But I've not gone through the whole of those games in order to complete and find out the full flavour. And I think it's probably the best moment as we are watching the presentation and as we've gone through introduction of many new games to basically go through some of them. And that is exactly what I have been doing. So I'll give you a rundown on the games that are presently on my Xbox. All of them have been downloaded from the Game Pass. And as I said, they do not occupy much space. On average, between 500 megabytes to maybe 2 gigs. And they're easily playable. You can play them anywhere. All of them are playable on your Android. So, when you're traveling and going to work or visiting friends, sitting on a bus, pull out your Android and try some of them. You have a lot of fun. So the first game, and I talked about this one already, is Vampire Survivors. A very, very enjoyable retro-style game, which is based on your survival. You need to be fighting all kinds of ghouls, monsters, Draculas, and God knows what, in order to survive as long as possible. And you're getting lots of rewards, lots of special abilities, and very, very enjoyable. Very difficult as well. When you look at it, you think, it's not much really, but it's very difficult, and it keeps driving you to do more and more, and you will be very greatly hooked on the game once you start playing it. I played it quite a while when it came out, and they introduced the update that had been applied this week in the course of the presentation. So that is what I've been doing. I've been hammering it, and they have also some extra activities and some walls and maps and all sorts. So definitely step in and have a look. Highly recommended. And also, if you're interested, this is one of the most enjoyable games of Phil Spencer's, who said that this is certainly one of his personal favorites at the moment on the Game Pass. So you can find out what Phil likes, and you will be more than well introduced if you crack on with Vampire Survivors. Pico Nico is the other one I played the other day. Very simple graphics. It's a nice platformer, but really, really enjoyable, really funny, lots of dialogue and lots of tricky hurdles to overcome. So when you get in, make sure that you're patient, that you're kind, and you're completing the game. One I played last night is called Short Hike, and you have 2 little birds that decide that they had enough of the city and they want to go to rural countryside and have a bit of rest, go to seaside, and then guess what? They have lots of things to explore there. Again, thoroughly enjoyable, good animation, fantastically funny dialogue, loads of hurdles and lots of puzzles to resolve. Absolutely 10 out of 10. Highly recommend it. That is Short Hike, an indie game on your Game Pass. And I'll go through the rest. I've looked at them, but I will be introducing all of those as I enter the arena and as I play some of them within the next couple of weeks. So the games are, we have Ravenlock, Loot River, A Little Left, Citizen Sleeper, the game that's been on Game Pass for quite some time and thoroughly enjoyable as well. I played a bit of it a little while back and I'll try to complete this time around. We have Chicory. Celeste is a narrative game, narrative-based game that also is very enjoyable. I played a bit of that too. Cassette Beasts. Very excited about that one. I want to see what's in those cassettes, and really lovable characters and lots of all kinds of fights and ridiculous ongoings and activities. Really looking forward to that. So Brotato, Broken Age, Broforce, Botany Manor. Botany Manor has been highly acclaimed. It was introduced to Game Pass last week and I really want to see it. It looks really like a proper point-and-click immersive RPG, so want to see what it's all about. Bluey, the video game, you might be familiar with Bluey. Blinks, the Time Sweeper, that is an old Xbox original game and I had played it a little while back when it came out, I think. Never completed it and I will be revisiting it as well. Then you have Besiege, Ben 10, Power Trip, Astroneer. If you are a fan of Mass Effect or Everspace or Starfield or any other space game, maybe more so, I'd say probably more inclined towards No Man's Space. Is it No Man's Land? No Man's Space, what's it called? I just got the title of the game several times wrong, and that is just very enjoyable. I played also Astroneer on the day it came out, and it really grabbed me, drew me to its activities, and I'll get back to it and try to finish it. Alushard, another Crab's Treasure, and then the last one on the list is probably the game I wanted to play first amongst all, and it's been talked about a lot on Xbox podcasts. And lots of people. Oh, we have someone else there. We have Zezenon. Zezenon is here. Hello, how are you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening to our Gaming Dialogue news today for the, was it Thursday, the 2nd of May of 2024. Good to see you. Good to see Gail. Good to see other people here as well. Thank you for joining us, guys. How are you, Zenon? How are you and how are you doing? I know that you were asking me about Destiny 1 the other day and we are going to be doing some Varix's missions, and these ones are pending. They are coming soon, but not today, I don't think. Today we'll be going to Destiny 2 and we'll crack on with Onslaught and we'll do maybe some other activities depending on who will want to join us. Right, coming back to the games. Amongst the indie games that I just mentioned, 20 of those which are downloaded to my Xbox Game Pass, Among Us, right, is the game that's been talked about the most for quite some time. And that has been the case already for, if I'm not mistaken, a couple of years. They talked about it a lot on Xbox podcast and I listened to the discussions and I couldn't work out what this game was about. Then once it appeared on Game Pass, I tried it and again I couldn't work out what it was all about. So if you played Among Us and if you want to be a member of that community, it's a multiplayer, basically a survival horror story game, very basic graphics and very different to what you'd expect, then really raise your hand and tell me and send me a message and we'll join forces and we'll do it together. I need somebody who is going to be my guide with Among Us. It looked like I had to really read about it or do other things with other people. Definitely it looked very enjoyable and it's extremely popular. It's a game that so many people play on various platforms and it certainly is a game that you want to be trying. Very basic graphics. And that's the best example of a fantastic independent game that doesn't really look much when you look at it, but it has the concept and the content, which is mouth-watering. So remember that. Never ever ignore a game due to its, I guess, retro-styled or old-school visuals. Never ever do that, because you will be missing out on a lot. The reason I talk a lot about independent games here is exactly the same as Phil Spencer would do when he does his presentations for Xbox showcase events and all else. We want to be supporting that young talent. I have lived through an age where there was almost, a complete impossibility for many graphic designers and young artists to find any work. And it was plaguing them that the restrictions that were imposed on how the arts were being used in a wider community or how they were being seen was affecting their ability to, first of all, create, to work and earn their living from the art. But that's changed drastically during the last 15 years. And the reason for that is the development of video gaming and online communities, to which an enormous amount of people who are very talented and who are inclined towards illustrations and graphic design found their feet in this new medium. And I personally believe, and I said that many times, video games have got to be taken a lot more seriously compared to what's happening at present, because they're a serious form of art. A bit like when films came about in 1895, for a good 20 years, maybe even 30 years, they were being regarded as trash, as pulp, as a sort of activity that was attracting the worst members of our communities in order to make quick money and cash up on the debaucheries. In America, that view persisted for many, many years. Even today, I think lots of people in America still have that view when it comes to certain types of films, not maybe about the cinema overall. And I believe that the same sort of attitude is present towards graphic novels and video games today in the developed world, which is wrong. If you consider Destiny, for instance, a game we play here all the time, it's just a masterpiece of art. It has so many mouth-watering visuals, and anyone who's watching this podcast, anyone who's watching what you're seeing on the screen, well, you'll see that these are the images coming from Bungie. It's the concept art for Destiny 1 and 2, and it's incredible. It's just so beautifully designed. It's so meticulous. It's so staggering in all sorts of ways. So how can you say that this is not art? It's ridiculous. And I think that in the near future, we'll have museums erected that will be cherishing the history of video gaming in the same ways as you've had years back the museums collecting Leonardo da Vinci's, Rembrandt's, and all the other big painters, Renoir's, Kandinski's of the old age. And it's just, we live in a different era. In the era of Picasso, there was no mobile phone or video gaming, and he could have not been portraying anything of that sort within the mediums that we can access today. So really, what I'm saying is I always support young talent. As a person who was a very youthful, very enthusiastic, and very ambitious artist in my mid-teens, and somebody who was striving towards both arts and psychology, I've gone through many steps through which I had to be fighting for my place or in the sun and progress forward and establish myself both as artist and scientist in some ways. And I've come across very many artists and younger people who were not able to do that. And that's due to the lack of stamina, due to the way they are built emotionally. People get really affected by rejections. Just after a while they had enough. They called it a day, and then that was causing the demise of that sort of opportunity. And I always felt that anyone who perhaps had lots of talents which were undiscovered or being repressed due to the environment, their parents not recognizing that they're talented, and somebody who has got a fantastic gift to be a musician being sent to the army, or somebody who can be a soldier being sent to IT industry, etc. Where the talent is not being seen or indeed stimulated. Well, that indeed was the area which I wanted to support the most, because once a person who has a natural talent recognizes it and begins using it, he just flourishes as a person. On the inside, he becomes a different individual, and he becomes much more engaged with what he is being born to do, and life becomes a different place for him. So these are the factors that are critical in us getting an understanding towards what creativity is, and also in addition to that, what we've got to be doing in order to enable many more people to join forums where that creativity can be developed, can rise, can ascend. And I believe that video gaming is exactly that forum. People who are young musicians can contribute by creating scores. People who are designers and illustrators can contribute towards its visual style. People who are good in animation or filmmaking, they can really get in with trick photography. And, you know, the list just goes on and on, inclusive of people who can provide dubbing with good voices. They become actors who are involved in impersonations or resurrections of certain characters in the narrative of various video games. And all of that is part and parcel of the independent gaming studios. They're usually small, run by a few people, attracting many other creative guys to be working for nothing in order to create an amazing product, and all of them are trying really, really hard. And just say the Game Pass is an amazing platform for such companies because it does provide the opportunity for your game to be heard and seen. And I've listened to some of the podcasts and the developers who are making incredibly interesting indie games that otherwise would have been totally ignored by the industry. They said that once they emerged on the Game Pass, their popularity, their exposure just skyrocketed. Many people coming and watching games and playing them and sending good feedback. So, you know, it's critical that such opportunities are retained. So let me just put into perspective. If you're a person who is wanting to support young talent in video gaming, go to the Game Pass, subscribe, and download as many as you can. Downloading these games will enable the publisher or the overall platform, which is Microsoft, to see that there's huge interest for these indie developers, and they will be supporting it further. You do have Phil Spencer and the executive board that truly believe that the indie games and the indie studios are way forward because, you know, BioWare, Bethesda, Bungie, they all started small and they just evolved. And today we have the means to which studios can evolve quicker than in the past. So it's essential that we pay attention and that we give them as much exposure, love and care as possible. Very, very important. Okay. So that's all about what I'm doing with the indie games. 20 games will be played on my decks within the next couple of weeks, and every day I'll try one of them and play a bit. Like last night, the game that I played was Short Hike. Really enjoyable. I loved it. In fact, I wanted to play it for 15 to 20 minutes. I played it for several hours. It was so captivating. Great activities, funny dialogue, and you know, it's a bit like in a nice adventure game. You got puzzles and you have to go around, and then you have to collect certain items and you have to deliver them to certain characters. And it's a sort of a feel-good game, also created for all ages. Doesn't matter whether you are a youthful person, a child, or whether you are already reaching your twilight years. It doesn't matter. You can just try it and enjoy it. So I'll tell you more about the games as I carry on. Okay, so before we get into the news today, I will dedicate it to two main areas. One is the update of Starfield, which is coming out imminently, and then the other is all about Xbox and the new titles and the presentations and all that's coming our way through them. So I'll give you a bit of that, I'll give you a rundown on that in a minute. But before we get to this, there are two other important things to say. I'm very pleased and very encouraged by the responses I'm getting from our community members. I should say known and unknown. I did have a couple of email messages coming from people who watched some of the things I did this week on YouTube or Twitter, and they asked questions which were so well embedded within the content. So it's so great to see that a person who's interested in video gaming or mental health or anything to do with the field is listening and then thinking about what is being said. I think this is what's sometimes absent on some of these streaming channels. I did see and I watch quite a few of younger streamers who are very involved with Twitch and YouTube, and then frequently when you watch chat or what sort of comms come in, generally they're divided into two sections. One lot, and that's maybe 75%, it's all about the person's appearance and the way they're behaving because they're watching up on video. That's just a fluke. It's a shot in the dark. It's a waste of time, right? Just literally blows the comments if they're positive into someone's narcissism. On the other, they could be denigrating and very upsetting if they come up with something which is not at all either relevant or pleasant to hear. And the other section is dedicated to the way somebody is playing a game or something to do with the game that they are presenting. And you will have also the streamers who are dedicated to hardcore gaming, or they're just basically tied up to a particular developer, a particular title, and you have very interesting, flourishing discussions emerging. But it's interesting that in this format, which doesn't have any video of mine or presentation where you can see me, what I do and what I look like, etc., and also it's based just on a radio style content, people are really interested and people are grabbing certain information and then asking questions. So the podcast on Destiny turned out to be very popular, and I'm very glad and thank everyone who listened and who provided some comments and views. And I have some questions, right? So the questions were, let me see, I have 4 questions that came from different parts of the world. I have Jessica. Jessica is in Britain, and she frequently asks questions. She's on the younger side and plays lots of different games, an avid Xbox gamer. And we met through Apex, if I'm not mistaken. Jessica, if you're listening, you just have to remind me. Apex did attract very many younger gamers when it came out, and built a very large community of interested FPS gamers and participants. The only thing is that lots of them were not migrating to Destiny, or not particularly keen on some of the Destiny elements, particularly in sequel, and therefore they're still waiting. Anytime I switch on my Apex setup, they immediately come in and say hello if they're obviously live online. Anyway, Jessica's one of those, and she asked what made Bungie move away from Halo and then create Destiny. I love Halo, she says. Well, it's a very good question, and I'm not sure whether I know the exact answer. What I gathered through the press and what's been said at the time was that they reached a sort of a pinnacle of what they felt could be delivered within that format of Halo, and also they made like a legendary trilogy, like 3 games within a period of, what was it, about 8 or 9 years, and they felt this was all they wanted to say, and they obviously sold it off to other studios, and the others carried on with the series and the franchise, I guess with varied results. Many people tell you that the first 3 Halo games are still by far the best. So if you are, for instance, looking at the concept art that we've got here on display, right, compare that with your experience of Halo and Master Chief Collection, the edition of Xbox that's got all the games on it, and you will be able to see the resemblance and the difference. And I have to say, the greatest resemblance I saw in the design between Destiny and Halo was when I played Combat Evolved Remastered for the first time. You're surely familiar, Jessica. You obviously can use your options button and you click from the old to the new instantly. And when you do that, you realize it's almost like the old moving into the Destiny-style environment. Not all of it, but some of it. The environment, the background, the landscapes, the locations where you are exploring the world and meeting ferocious enemies are very, very similar. So it's interesting that they had created such imagery and those parts of the game that kind of connect the 2 titles. They wanted to progress into a game that will be, first of all, delivered in different format. That was the start, and then that will come across as a bit more ambitious. Halo was initially designed as a FPS game, a first-person shooter, and then there was this bigger world out there, but it wasn't really an open world game. You just went around, and the most popular part of Halo initially has been attached to its multiplayer, deathmatch maps, and all of that. And many people still do the old maps from the first 3 games even today. And what's been so great is that Microsoft had, after many years of complaints coming from the Halo community, enabled the old setups through which you'll be able to get your old user IDs, and everyone from the old days could then squad up and join hands in the same way as they would have done many years back. So that was really good. I really enjoyed the idea. And coming back to Destiny, the ambition was to create a game that will have narrative, but at the same time will provide you with a lot of FPS activity that will enable you to play any of them at any given moment in time. So initially it didn't really work as they intended, and they had to be slotting in a few DLCs, and then with The Taken King they managed to create a proper big new game where everything worked according to plan, and they reworked the structure that then turned into what we have in Destiny 1 of today, and it became a masterpiece, one of the best games ever created, still with some parts which are very difficult, and if you're not doing them together with your friends, colleagues and community members, you are going to have a serious problem in completing. So coming back to that, the reason was ambition. And you can see that the direction they've taken from day one with Destiny was always thinking forward, always looking at what will be happening next, not what you've completed. What's been sort of done and dusted basically is examined, but you're always considering what new activity, what new system you are going to be creating in order to attract more gamers and more people to join your community. And I think generally speaking, they really succeeded. So the answer to the question is ambition. And if you look back 10 years, you will see that from the beginning, Destiny was set out to be a lot more progressive, a lot more different in any way compared to Halo. Halo did have very many of those standard gaming auspices that were upheld even in some later installments. Fantastic game as well. I love Halo. I can always go back to Xbox and play it on Master Chief Collection. Adore and admire the remastered version. I have to say, after I played it first, it was just absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. The improvements to the environment and the gameplay, in-game mechanics and everything were just absolutely, mouth-watering in every way imaginable. Many of my friends said, well, we prefer the old. Well, maybe, but still, I prefer higher quality graphics. It's just easier on my eye and like the new environments and the new settings and everything else. In addition to, obviously, fierce firefights and everything else that you have there. The similarity between the two is in the need to be playing the game together with others. That's the main thing. And the ambition was to make playability with others in all sections of the game. So it doesn't have to be just in multiplayer, but it will be also for the campaigns and all other things that you have on offer. Destiny gives you that option. You don't have to be doing it as a multiplayer from the beginning, but you can. And I absolutely recommend Destiny to be played as a multiplayer to everyone, simply because then it becomes really fully fledged and you can experience it in a way the developer intended. And you always have got to get your friends in order to get the best experience. So that is what I see as the most important part if we are looking at the divisions and the differences. And the reason as to why they migrated was exactly that. So I guess some people who played Halo from the beginning will say they worry that with the final shape and the conclusion of Light versus the Darkness saga, Destiny will become something completely different. Well, certainly there is a possibility for that. Bungie had never sat idly by and ignored the requests from Destiny community. I think they'd be considering what to do next, in what format and what shape and how it's going to be delivered. That can be a double-edged sword, as we've seen with lots of games, and particularly I think if you're looking at sci-fi shooters, RPGs, Mass Effect suffered tremendously when Mass Effect Andromeda got released. And I played it on release, never completed it. There were lots of technical problems. It was plagued by frostbite and many glitches on consoles. And completed it recently. I've gone back to it, played it back to back, about 120, 130 hours in total. And I love the game. I think it's wonderful. It is also providing you with lots of different options to which you can entertain the characters and activities, and therefore it does bear greater resemblance to the early days of Destiny compared to anything else. But the community of gamers who were attached to Mass Effect did not like that. They just rejected it outright, from the creation of the characters, through the actual in-game activity, to the exploration of the open world. They just thought it was all rubbish. This was just completely turning their back on the original concept and cutting corners and I don't know what. So, I mean, playing it on next-gen console really helped. the game looked very good and polished. But what I'm trying to tell you is sometimes the ambition may not be equaling the expectations of the gaming community attached to a particular title, and that can be tricky. So I think Bungie and Destiny are entering risky waters, and all sorts of things may well be transpiring from that, and it's kind of critical and very important that they take those views into account. You know, as you've seen, we'll talk about Starfield a bit later. The game came out and it was a huge amount of praise, massive elation, everyone's happy, and hence the glitches and, you know, a few bits and pieces that didn't work out initially. And today, coming to a year, it's not really a year later, we're talking about 4, 5, 9 months later, there's a huge amount of frustration being vented that there's no new content. I think it's understandable, because Starfield does have that completion aura once you completed the main campaign and quite a few of the side missions if you've done everything. And it also brings you back to the older games, such as Elder Scrolls series or Fallout. And, you know, the gamers remember Bethesda released the DLC quite quickly after the game originally came out, at least the first DLC, and there was something else to do. So we need to see what the new update brings. I'll elaborate on that. I had several articles there from various outlets. As yesterday, they confirmed the date and the content. But you will get that from community. Community, you know, wants to have new content, and they believe that's justified in view of the investment that you would have produced initially. The games are incredibly expensive. I just looked up Stellar Blade, the game we talked about earlier in the week, and £70 for that game. You know, that's steep, and it's a single player game, and you you go through the campaign, and I think people can finish it, and then what? Will you be doing then extra bits and pieces, add-ons, and you know, it's hard to tell, but I think there is a concept. Well, I certainly believe that the future looks bright for any genre or any style, any format of gaming. It doesn't matter whether it's a single player, it's a multiplayer, it's a battle royale. It's all going to be down to the developers and the inventions. You have got to be creative, you've got to be inventive, you must not be cutting corners constantly, and, you know, then there is going to be also a steady flow of new members coming in and discovering what you've had already for a while. And there are many examples. So I think hopefully I answered your question. If not, then just you can forward another one, and I'll try to contact Bungie directly to ask maybe more specifically. My impression was it was ambition. They want to make a game that was very different in its format, and they would want it to be evolving over a longer period of time. And also by the sales, by the sale of franchise or the series, they made quite a bit of money, and that helped them to invest the human resources and revenue into this project, which is still up and running and indeed is very, very popular. So Tom, who's from Durham, asked why so many people still go to why many people go to Destiny 1 and still believe that the original game was better than the sequel. Well, that's a very good question. I can't really tell you whether I feel that the original game is better than the sequel, because I feel that both games have got a very, very different structure, and by having a different structure, they are providing you with the ways to which you can engage with that content in many different ways. So Destiny 1 is restrictive when you compare it to Destiny 2. It does have a certain number of activities that will have to be done together in a team, which obviously will be very enjoyable and productive. If you get people in, your community members, teammates, anyone else, and that will be that. So there's no extension of this. You can obviously delete your characters, your guardians. You can start them from scratch. You can do them again, but it does feel, I guess it didn't feel like that in the early days, but Destiny was around for about 3 years, you know, and in 3 years they've accomplished everything that was possible, and then they raised the bar. They brought in all of these different ideas, inclusive of PvP versus PvE, like Gambit, and many other activities which were drawing attention. And I think particularly they heightened the quality and ambition as they carried on with the second year, with 3 seasons that were incredibly hectic, with loads of activities, loads of quests and everything. So, you know, it's a very different type of game. I think if we consider the gamers and people who were there from the beginning, they got used to the structure. They got used to the idea of having that element of completion. The game was very grindy, Destiny 1, and you did need your team to be helping you to get to the final result. And that was, you know, the difficulty levels, the trickiness, the excitement about not being able to complete a raid, or being able to fail whilst doing Nightfall strikes and then wanted to do them repeatedly again. The difficulty levels were probably one of the key factors for certainly about 2 or 3 years. Lots of veterans thought that Destiny 2 was pedestrian. It didn't have the same stamina, the same degree of well, it didn't have the content that required the skill to be polished up, you know. And also, as they introduced leveling up with every season, they thought, well, that's just cheating, because we were grinding there for the loot and for the power levels. So now just, you don't have to do anything. You can even purchase it if you want, the seasonal content and a few tokens. So, you know, the difference was not always, well, in this instance, was not embraced by very many. And I think they still consider Destiny 1 to be better because of its capacity to deliver that structured format with that difficulty level, which is hard, and then you can do it again and again with your friends and colleagues. And we've done so many activities in Destiny 1 here, live on air. Silver Strikes and Nightfall's a bit most popular. I've not done many raids because of my internet connection, but, you know, raids are still very popular in Destiny 1, hence their migration to the sequel. I want to hear from people who were raiding for many years in the original game, and if you migrated now to the sequel just because of this, and how you're finding the new raids. Are they exactly the same? Do you find them better or worse? It'd be interesting to hear. Anyway, I'll bring a message to Tom. He probably will be able to tell me. So yeah, so I think that's the reason. It's linked to difficulty level and the overall gameplay. Many people did not appreciate Bungie changing direction, expanding, creating this massive big open world, which does have the elements of RPG with story-driven content. Hardcore FPS gamers are not interested in story. They just want to be chasing scores. They want to be mastering the skill, which means eliminating the opponents. And they feel that a lot of that story content is sort of diluting the oomph of the game that they would have had. So that's my view. Fabio asked about the concept art, and he's not the only one. We had another member leaving comments on YouTube saying that he had never seen some of these images before, and he's truly delighted to have seen them, and he found them absolutely incredible. And Fabio said, do I know whether all the illustrators and all the people who worked on concept art and who worked for Bungie right from the beginning are still there? Are they still working on the new concept, on the new content? Well, Fabio, thank you first of all for your kind words. You obviously appreciated the slideshow which is present here, and you liked the images and everything that's presented. So that's fantastic. It's altogether about between 50 and 60, and they're being streamed at slow pace, so people can really enjoy every one of those. The answer to that is probably no. Lots of people who were involved with Destiny at the beginning have migrated to other companies, or they're doing something else. But the core principle of the design had been upheld. There has been a significant change in the course of the creation of the second game. If you remember, when the game came out, the first selection of planets had the backgrounds which were really different. They were not as razor sharp, they were not as bright or as engaging as it had them in Destiny 1, and that was a shocker. And in fact, many of them looked a bit like concept art which has been not finished properly, and that's been completely overhauled as the years went on. And I'm very glad, because I hate those. Those are so rude to be offering that to the gaming community, which was pretty well used to the previous design and everything that was on offer during the first 3 or 4 years. And Bungie, like other companies, they rotate, and they rotated many people involved in the production of the game. So it's not just the designers, the illustrators and concept artists and narrative directors, but everyone. And some people stayed in the company, others moved on. It's a big company. They have more than, I think, 500 employees. And in terms of the actual development of games, they're not producing anything else but Destiny. So yeah, absolutely 300% focused on every aspect of it, which includes PvE and PvP and character creation, the design, everything. And I could certainly say, in my opinion, they made several serious errors in the course of the production. The error number one was the way they launched the game initially. It felt a bit unfinished. Didn't feel like a logical extension of Destiny 1. They said the reason for that was the tech which had not been developed at that time to an advanced level that would be satisfactory. Therefore, they couldn't do what we have in Destiny 2 today. So I think there is possibly a logical explanation in that, in that, and that we can accept these answers to a degree. I don't think it was just cutting corners because they didn't want to have a failure with the new launch. But the game continued to evolve, and they rotated many participants. And if you watch, for instance, one of the best ways to which you can see what's happening with the team is by watching Destiny vidocs, mini documentaries on the website, on their YouTube channel. And you get various faces, and you'll get the titles and the positions in the company. You could see sometimes some people are kind of progressing, they're going up, and other people are just disappearing. It's a big company. They use many people in order to participate in the overall production. So I wouldn't know exactly the correct answer. But the best way to do it is to connect with Bungie and ask again. This will be privy information in terms of data protection. They will not tell you, oh yes, we did rotate many, or we didn't, for obvious reasons. So it's hard to tell. But what we can say with certainty is that irrespective of what people got involved at the later stages, the game looks phenomenal, and it has absolutely incredible visuals which are constantly improving. In fact, I played Destiny over the years on various platforms, and I thought initially when it came out on Xbox and PlayStation, it looked really amazing. But when I compare that with the way it looks today on PS5 and Xbox Series S and X, it's a different story altogether. The images are sharper, more illuminated, brighter colors, better movement, no lag, state of the art. And as I said earlier in my comments about artists and graphic design in independent video games, it's just absolutely mouth-watering. It needs to be in a museum. They can dig up many of these images and put them in the Louvre or British Museum or Victoria and Albert or Museum of Modern Art there in the US. They're just incredible, and the effort and the painstaking attention given to every single detail is extraordinary. Just look at the characters, look at the background, look at sometimes what's on a table and what's sort of present in various locations. It is extraordinary, and that is what is always greatly appreciated. So one way or the other, whether they rotate or not, they had still retained that signature, and the signature is very much present there, and it's part and parcel of what they do today. So we had Camilla. Camilla is from Denmark, and thank you for sending a message. I think you watched Destiny streams for quite a while, and I remember some of your comments, and we had some people in Norway as well. We've not seen Ipto for some time. Ipto, if you're there, send us a message, tell us that you're still watching and playing Destiny. Ipto is our dedicated young community member from Norway, and I remember we used to communicate live on air quite a bit in the old days, where Ipto said that classes at university were extremely boring, and therefore she would be just simply watching my stream instead of paying attention to the lectures. And I warned and cautioned against that. My stream's not created in order to provide any form of mischief. And so I hope that Ipto is not doing that anymore. But many years have gone by, so be glad and definitely truly rewarded to hear from Ipto if you're still there, if you're watching it today, or if indeed you are listening to it on playback. It's always great to reconnect with old friends and our original community members. Camilla's asking a question. What would you say was the very best of Destiny? What do you think is the best Destiny 2 content? Destiny 1, Destiny 2. She's actually asking across the board. Well, that question is quite easy. And I can certainly tell you I have clear preferences there. Also, I know what I like the least. So I'll give you... This was not included in the question, but, I'll give you a clear idea. The best content in Destiny 1 for me came with the Taken King expansion, and the expansion similar to what you had with Phantom Liberty in Cyberpunk 2077 overhauled the structure of the game. It's just a completely different game afterwards, and everything we have today in Destiny 1 is based on that update, on that DLC, and it gave us the opportunity to go in and out as we pleased. We could simply do any activities at any time. Didn't matter that the stories would be done in linear fashion. We had extra activities introduced, extra social spaces, and everything seemed to be like more modern and more in sync with the concept that Destiny should have provided right from the start. Again, they did say major problems were not with the concept or the unwillingness to do certain things, but with the tech. The tech is developing rapidly, and therefore every single year they had more opportunities to do something that previously was not possible. So the Taken King is the best in Destiny 1. I wouldn't say just the Taken King expansion. It's more to do with what the expansion did to the rest of the game. So I think for myself, Destiny D Collection, the final Ultimate Edition of the game, is the one that can be treasured and cherished by everyone everywhere, as it is a true masterpiece and it has full content. So if you're considering whether I want to join Destiny community, make sure you buy Destiny D Collection and then join forces with our members here. This channel is not as massive as some of the other big Destiny streamers, but it does have all of those hardcore, most dedicated veterans of Bungie and Destiny here, and we have many people who played Halo from the day one who was a part of our community. So there's no better place to start but by bringing in some of our friends into your community and asking them to help you with the gameplay and everything else that comes together with it. And now progressing to the sequel, if you're asking me what is the worst part of Destiny, I would say for me it's the Crucible, and that is I'd say possibly more heightened in the original game, because the matches are very, the maps for that PvP activity are very, very small. So it's a clear-cut deathmatch. Bang, bang, kill, kill, get up, do it again, die, die. I just don't enjoy any of that. It's just, complete waste of time as far as I'm concerned. It is enjoyable if you build two teams, or if you're playing like one against all through a private match, and then you bring in your friends, you know each other, you know how you play the game, and then you can have a lot of fun. So that's funny and that's great, but doing it with the randoms and in competitive squads for me is definitely the weakest part of Destiny 1. The same would apply to the sequel. The Crucible has some other maps which perhaps are a bit wider, a bit more tactical, but still, for my liking, I'd like to see a map like the one in Warzone, or the main map, or the main map in Apex. So it's a bigger space, a bigger area, which you need to be exploring with your team, and then you need to be surviving. And it's like a battle royale, elimination, or whatever. That would be my preference, because it makes it more meaningful, requires a bit more attention, needs a lot more investment in honing the skill and doing it together with your team, building a strategy. And every single time you play that game on a big map is a different experience. And these short, brief, small map death matches are definitely not. But then coming back to the other not very good content in Destiny 2, Lightfall is the worst that they produced, and certainly didn't gel with me at all. I'd say it's probably worse than the original game release in, when was it? Was it 2017? Because that was just at the beginning, the game that was having capacity to evolve, to move forward, to have better development, and everything else with seasonal content. But Lightfall comes on the tail of the best that Destiny 2 produced, which is The Witch Queen. That expansion was incredible. It was staggering in every way, from the content you had through seasons, to the campaign, to the design, the concepts that are, I guess, more aligned with the narrative, with the storytelling. Phenomenal. So having one DLC, which was phenomenal, and then resorting to the other, which is taking you back, is mind-boggling. And I'm speculating whether they wanted to really align Destiny with Marvel, DC, or superheroes, or anything like that, the graphic novel franchises and companies that produce them, because at the end of the day, the characters in Lightfall, the protagonists, they do not match the standards of Destiny world. They feel really odd, like a sore thumb. They've come from some other galaxy, and looking like Centurions and Silver Surfers, it didn't really cut it for me. There was a huge dissatisfaction about Lightfall amongst many gamers and original community members, and also I think for people who are just regulars, they're not really hardcore Destiny veterans. They said, well, hang on a minute, after the best piece, you're giving us the worst piece, so what's the idea? So really, in consequence, there's this huge anticipation and expectation attached to the final shape, which I think is quite negative. I don't think it's a good idea to have such high expectations, because you might fail. There may be something seriously wrong in there, or maybe it'll be fantastic, but they'll say it's too short and it's not worthy of investment, or whatever. I think it has been a very difficult, rocky road, which had been paved by the company by providing that Lightfall DLC that didn't live up to expectations and didn't really deliver. And there were some explanations given, linking it to the pandemic and the restrictions which were applied, and financial issues, server problems, etc., etc. But still, at the end of the day, it's all down to the concept, down to the idea. And I'm quite certain that the ideas which we have seen with Lightfall are not going to be pursued any further in view of the backlash, and that is just natural. That is just normal for us to anticipate, to accept that, there will be some other direction, and whether it is going to be to our satisfaction remains to be seen. Okay. So really, that's all I had from the community, and I want to thank Camilla, Fabio, Tom and Jessica, as well as Playmer UK, as well as other people who had contributed. Really great to see that you're fully on board, and that the new concept in here is being embraced and is being liked and introduced to others. Again, similar to what Bungie had to do, I was considering for some time how to run the channel and how to do it, and it was all in view of what feedback I was getting from various community members. So I think the new concept is probably as close to what I wanted to do originally, but I couldn't because I didn't have enough of my own tech to be delivering it. So there is a, there's a connecting link between Bungie and Destiny and what I'm doing here in that department. So that's all the news we have from our community. But guess what? We've not even talked about the news that came on the wire to me overnight. And that is what I'll do straight away. So bear with me. I need to dig up the news. Most importantly, before we carry on, I need to remind everyone that everything I do here on Twitch and elsewhere is linked with charitable fundraising. I raise funds for charities, and presently I'm raising funds for the UK-based charity called Mind. And Mind is an organization that deals and helps people with mental health problems. So anybody who's experiencing a psychological difficulty, or emotional pressure, or any other stress, or sadly had ended up in hospital due to that, can approach Mind in order to receive any form of advice, varying from emotional, psychological to practical. They have volunteers and professionals working for them in various places from the country. They have offices and branches in almost every big town and city of Britain. And the services they provide are free of charge and absolutely priceless. So, I want to be raising the profile of the company here within our gaming community, both here on my channel and elsewhere, which is through social networking platforms and many other portals. And then I would like to see our community members contributing by donating. And by donating, you are going to be making sure that this charity carries on without any hindrance. They can select more people to work for them, both professionals and volunteers. They can open maybe a few more offices. And they'll carry on doing what they've been doing already for more than 50 years, providing services, psychological counseling, and any other to those who are in the need, the people who need it the most. That is fundamental. So just remember, if you want to donate, you can click on these links, which are present on my website. You go to About page here on Twitch. You get to the panels. You have all these big thumbnails telling you things about charities, nice illustrations. Click on those panels. They give you a link to Tiltify, and you can donate straight away. The way it works is the money donated goes directly to the charity. So Tiltify and myself are just like a mediator, like a broker. We have no commissioning, we have no any interest in all of that, but we ensure that the donations are legitimate and that they're being delivered to the right source, which is from the donor directly to the charity in question. In this instance, this is Mind Charity UK, and Tiltify are the company that provides all the services. So just make sure also you pay by PayPal, so it goes directly to PayPal and goes to Mind. In addition to that, if you are interested, you can be also promoting both my campaign and the charity just by leaving some comments and views on various websites. Post few things on Twitter, on Instagram, or TikTok, or anywhere else. Make sure that your voice is heard and the campaign and the charity are being clearly promoted. So that will be greatly appreciated. That's probably the best of donations. You don't have to contribute financially, but you can do so just by raising the profile. And I can assure you, considering how frequently these websites and platforms are being accessed on mobile phones, there are going to be people who never approach the services, never approach the company, and never receive any of these services, and they will see it on TikTok or Facebook, and then they will say, actually, I need those services. I need to be benefiting. I need to do something that will improve my life. I need to rebuild my existence. I need to move forward. I need to find out what to do next, because I'm really hampered by what is in my, in my head, what's on my mind, and all that's been happening to me of late. I can't sleep very well. I'm always feeling very tired, etc., etc. So, by doing so, you are rebuilding people's lives and you're helping people's lives. Your contributions, be it very small or very great, large, big, name it as you like, they will be helping those people and the charity that is rebuilding people's existence. So, very, very important. So, in addition to that, we need to introduce what is the most important thing this month, the month of May, and that's that this is the Mental Health Awareness Month. And we've got to be focusing on our well-being and our mental health. So this whole month will have different vignettes, snippets of certain kinds of activities and introductions here on the channel in order to raise the profile, to raise the awareness amongst everyone, be it the gamer or any other, on the fact that this is our Mental Health Awareness Month. So the first thing you can do is you can go to Bungie and you can click on Bungie Foundation. Bungie Foundation collects funds for charities that are providing research and treatment to children. And these are usually children suffering from terrible illnesses which are incurable, and the revenue which is donated to Bungie Foundation will be helping those children to access certain kinds of treatments that also include the introduction of the tech, tablets, computers, consoles, to the hospital environment in which they can communicate with their friends, relatives, schoolmates, and forget about the illness that they're having. We had been raising funds last summer, for Bungie Foundation, and I managed to raise to my community about $100. But altogether, the gamers and streamers together raised more than $1 million within that short 1 week or 10-day long campaign. So we'll do this again this year. And don't forget, you can always donate to Bungie Foundation. You don't have to just wait for the charitable fundraiser event. And there are also other charities that can be contacted through Bungie Foundation and Tiltify that will also appreciate your help. So you actually can select yourself a charity that will give you what you believe is most applicable to your needs or to your own personal preferences, and then support. In addition to Bungie, you can go to Halo, and they also are running various activities which are supporting the Mental Health Awareness Month. And I've just seen today, I've received a message from them indicating as 343, I think it is, just bear with me a second. Now I was just trying to find out whether the company had provided us with some extra information. Basically, they said that you can join Halo this month to unlock the MHAM armor coating, visor, and emblem when you log in. And together, let's raise awareness and support mental health within our Spartan community. So let me just see what people had said about this. I am quite... I'm truly delighted to see that these things are on offer, and in fact, I'm reminded just by telling you this, that I need to go to my Halo Waypoint. You know, you go to the website, and then you claim some of that loot, and I need to do that, because I like collecting Halo loot. And we got to be logging into the Waypoint or Master Chief Collection in order to get this, and you will get this lovely banner as well. And it says, you can unlock your Mental Health Awareness Month nameplate and wear it with pride. I'll do that today. I'll do that today. I really do. And I'll make a screenshot and I'll post it here on my Twitter for you to see. It looks amazing. It really is the sort of thing that we want to be prominently featuring everywhere. And we have quite a few people responding to this, and people already logged in and acquired some of the armor coating, that is, and they just look beautiful. So you have quite a few images of the outfits and their characters displayed on the Twitter. So definitely go to Twitter and have a look at Halo, which is supporting the Mental Health Awareness Month. So really absolutely amazing, and really, as I said, I talked quite a bit about mine today, and we'll have some time dedicated to different charities in the course of the month. The month I just started, and we'll have plenty to do and to say in order to kind of raise awareness and, you know, draw attention, and also most importantly to raise funds. I used to do fundraising, like street fundraising. You know, we got out and we used to go to the biggest railway stations in London. So they were Paddington, St Pancras, King's Cross, Victoria, Waterloo. You know, the big ones. We had hundreds of thousands of people going through them during the rush hour every single day, and it was amazing how many people donate just £1. £1 going to the tin, and we go around and then collect, and it was just fantastic. So at the time when I still trained clinical psychotherapy and I worked in various residential settings, and we always had, you know, we were always supporting these fundraising campaigns, not for ourselves but for those other charities, and it was a wonderful experience. And it's much easier today compared to then. In those days, people put money in envelopes, send them by royal mail, and you know, it was a different story altogether. Anyway, let's have a look at the news. The news today, there weren't actually that many coming in overnight on the wire, so that's the reason I spent so much time on our community and Destiny related news. And we have everything about that Starfield update. And the first thing I need to tell you is there's this article written by Ryan McCaffrey, and I like Ryan. He's been with IGN for a long while, and he runs Unlocked. He's one of the senior people there, and he always gives you a very detailed rundown on everything that's going on. If you watch his streams and his podcasts, you would have seen that he, like myself, talks quite a bit and gives a very, very in-depth insight on everything that's going on. But he he does give you two sides of the coin. You know, he's not always overly positive of the game. He always tells you, I like all of these things, but actually this is something that could be improved. It's very important because you are critical, but in a very positive, constructive fashion. So I really like that. And always watch is Unlocked. You got to be watching Unlocked. Unlocked is released every single week, and it's a fantastic podcast. Tells you everything about things that are happening in the industry. So I watch Unlocked. I watch This Week on Xbox. I watch Xbox Podcast and Digital Foundry. So these are the ones that really are in the know. They give you the best of information. I don't really understand as to why Sony's not doing something like this, because you would really benefit from that. And I've got to say, like some of the major industry hubs, you know, like PC Gamer and Games Radar, they're also not doing many enough. IGN is the only one that has, I guess, the monopoly and the resources to do everything professionally on a grander scale. So it's always worth checking out stuff coming in through IGN. But I just feel that generally, not with Ryan and his stuff, but the other things are slightly biased towards various publishers. I've seen some games being given really high rankings, and you know, they did not really expose issues which in fact appear to be fairly problematic. So it's, you know, IGN is a massive big corporation, and they've had the privilege to have been in the industry right from the beginning, and they just grew and grew. And so, you know, anyway, it's always good to be watching some independent podcasts on various platforms as well. I highly recommend that to everyone, and this is what I do as well. But this was all about new update coming our way from Bethesda, and that will be happening in May, and there will be many different changes to the game, he says, resorting to, just a minute, that's actually not Ryan's article, it's someone else who says that. It's a gent called Wesley Yin Poole, right? So he is writing, and it's coming through Ryan. So for a reason, Ryan did not participate at this moment. He says that the update is presently in Steam beta mode, and then it will be live for everyone on May the 15th. So finally, we'll be getting detailed surface maps, and that is a very, very good bit of news because I already missed them. And in the patch notes, they said that many players had called for improved maps ever since Starfield came out in December last year. So they said, we heard your feedback, and we definitely have given it a good thought, and we made some big improvements to these surface maps. So you will know exactly where to go. You will no longer be just completely lost on the way to the place which has been allocated, and then you can just carry on and find your destination. They actually threw in a joke saying you'll be able to get back to your parents' place, and they weren't buying that excuse anyway. You should really go and visit them, so that's funny. And there are new difficulty options. I think that's a very good idea as well, in order to raise the bar when it comes to tackling the enemies and ads and fighting different battles. And this says that's going to be in the settings menu. So the addition of ship decoration to the interior ships also going to be changed. They've added display settings on Xbox Series X to prioritize visuals or performance. That's very good as well. I'm not really... both are very important. If you have a AAA blockbuster that needs to look stunning, you want the game to perform beautifully as well as to look great. And I guess the new options perhaps will be guiding us towards one or another. I'm not sure, I need to see. And then it says, I know, he says here, this adds the ability to run Starfield at 60 frames per second. And that is going to be only on Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S, which will not have this feature. I need to just stress one so-called minor fact. Even if you have Xbox Series X and if you have like 60 FPS, you need to have a TV that will support the refresh rate that will make it as smooth as possible. So don't complain to Microsoft that something doesn't seem to work, because you need to have everything brand new basically. The latest state-of-the-art console as the latest TV with the highest refresh rate, and then it will work as it should. Anyway, that's the news, and that is basically I should say that's the news on the update, and that's basically what the gamers and the community members were asking Bethesda to do from the beginning. Don't forget, initially they talked about the game being released on 60 FPS, but they had to temper it down in order to prevent any crashes or major mishaps or major technical problems on release. And they just toned it down to about 25, I think, or 30. And that really definitely was providing the good results. There were no major issues initially when the game was released. So, just see, they said that what they'll be giving to Xbox, don't forget Bethesda is part of the Xbox gaming family now, so it's similar to how PC players can customize the experience. So we are now going to be enabling that on Xbox Series X with a few options that you can use to find the best fit for your playstyle and display. So they'll have variable refresh rate running at 120 Hz. Then they'll have, you have to verify your Xbox setup to use it. And then you can have a default frame rate target of 40, and that will be keeping the priority for full visuals. Then you have frame rate target. That's going to be between, you will be able to choose between 30, 40, 60 or an uncapped frame rate. And then if you have your VRR display running 120 Hz, you will be still able to select from 30 to 60. And screen tearing may occur at times when you're selecting it on a non-VRR display. So you can now prioritize between visuals and performance while trying to maintain the frame rate target. And if you're choosing a frame rate target of 60 or above, we recommend changing this to performance. So that's really good news. And they have also a rundown on, it's a very lengthy list. I probably will not go through this at the moment. If you're interested, you can just go to my Twitter. The article is there. And the bug fixes were general stability and performance improvements, and then improvements for character fleeing, avoidance and pathfinding, and they try to resolve any issues with object placement. So you got all of these as the major technical issues, but gameplay, probably more than 100 these types of addition, maybe 60 or 70 of these, and that's just literally fixing the bugs and the problems, which, like for instance, players who find their way into Benjamin Bay or Spenhouse should not be able to exit properly, or fixed an issue with a turn counter on the persuasion minigame when dealing with the star parcel freighter, etc, etc. So it's basically resolving the bugs and glitches that were present in the game from the beginning. And then you'll have also graphics improvement, many different things such as fixing the ship lights, then fixing various shadow issues, fixing a issue that could cause the ocean not to blend smoothly, and the list just goes on. And then outposts, fixing an issue that could cause robots to appear unsigned. Then you have addressed an issue with cargo link, etc, etc. So loads of different things. Quests, back to the grind, fixing an issue that could cause the camera to unintentionally return to first person when you're exiting the interview seat with Imogen. Breaking the bank, fixed an issue where unselected dialogue options would just grey out when talking to Chief Person Murata. So you could see they were trying to polish off very many problems that were appearing as people were playing the game. And that all is coming out on the 15th of this month for everyone to enjoy. So that's wonderful. And if you're interested, I have quite a selection of articles which indicate what the anticipations are and what people really will be getting. And so for instance, we heard from True Achievements about well, they have few reflections on Starfield as it is today, and they said the data for Starfield's achievement for joining Constellation shows us that almost half of Starfield's Xbox players have not joined the main story faction, and that's coming our way through True Achievements. And they thought it perhaps in view of the new DLC would be a good time to dive into the Starfield achievements to see how things stand so far. And they say that 52.51% of Xbox players unlocked the One Small Step Starfield achievement for joining Constellation. I joined Constellation straight away when I started out with the game. That means that almost half of the global Xbox players who picked up Starfield have yet to join up, and the artifact-obsessed space explorers who make up one of the game's main factions and drive much of its story. Why didn't they join? I don't understand. It's really weird. Constellation was the driving story elements that Bethesda pushed before Starfield launch. The official description said that from humble beginnings as a space miner, you will be joining Constellation, the last group of space explorers seeking rare artifacts throughout the galaxy, and navigate the vast expanse of the settled systems in Bethesda Game Studios' biggest and most ambitious game. So several factions you can join, and some of them have really good quest lines, so you can obviously replay the game and do a different faction. But following Constellation's quest is how you will be unlocking a number of important gameplay elements, and you get some key companions, and all of the main story is based around the organization. So, I mean, I'll tell you why. They're asking a question we don't understand as to why people have not joined Constellation. I'll tell you why. I played Starfield together with a few other people when it came out, and we were just astonished by how directionless it seemed to be within the first 6 hours of the game. And I just walked around, went to different areas, talked to different characters, and you didn't have pointers indicating exactly what you need to be doing. So it's like an open world exploration, and I guess your decision making would then determine how the game will be running. Constellation headquarters are not that close to the way where you originally spawn, and that might be one of the reasons. People may not have gone to their HQ in order to explore what was going on in there, and they've just gone down the route of doing other side quests, because you can pick up any side quest anywhere, similar to Elder Scrolls, and you're just missing out on the points with the main mission. And I think generally with Starfield, maybe contrary to the way you played Fallout and Elder Scrolls games, the most important thing is to be fully connected with the plot. Otherwise, you'll be slightly diluted in terms of its narrative. You'll be confused. You'll be doing lots of unnecessary things prior to the actual completion of the main quest. And that itself can be disappointing. So therefore, I absolutely invite everyone to follow the suggestion coming our way from True Achievements, and definitely make sure you sign up for Constellation as soon as possible. And they also say that it's interesting, this is a relatively early achievement to get, and unlocks after you travel to New Atlantis. Will be part of one of the main missions, and then you chat a little to Constellation's leading lady and agree to join up. Well, I've done all of that, and I thought it was a very good idea. So in the article, they analyze all other elements of Starfield, and they complained about bugs, the fact that they had quite a few, and they said that sometimes certain people could have just chickened out, gone another way if there was something quite, glitchy and buggy. So 25% of Starfield Xbox players have not made it to space, they said after the launch. It's not surprising. I had a serious problem initially in finding out how I can launch. I really had to look up on the internet to find out what the method was. That was resolved later with one of the updates. It was easier to do it, but initially, got my ship, I didn't know how to get into space, and that was certainly for me thumbs down. It was of concern. And they said also that Bethesda has a sort of a filter indicating how many people had completed the main campaign, and Starfield was in last place with only 10% of global Xbox players beating the main storyline. I'll tell you why. The battles in space are very difficult, and you need to be customizing your ship very early on in order to make it highly agile and highly able to tackle some of the ferocious enemies in space. So I've not done all of that. I spent more time on the story, and then eventually, when I came to the last mission, in order to eliminate the major opponents who are flying the ships around me, I'm getting killed with these, and I'm just like literally rigid. I can't swing around too quickly. And I watched some other videos, and their ships were so agile, so fast, so flexible, and mine was just like an old crank. Still need to work out what to do. What better time to do that but around 15th of May when the new update comes up. So I'll definitely try to polish this beforehand, and at the new update I'll try and explore different sections of Starfield. I love the game. I think it's great. I can't say that I was astonished. I didn't find it to be an extraordinary or amazing, but still there's a major big scope for improvement as we go on. and certainly similar to, I don't know, Cyberpunk or Destiny 1, if you are applying certain types of updates, you can just simply enhance the gameplay and make it to be a lot better compared to what it came out initially. So, a lot to think about. And let me see whether they have anything else. 40% of Xbox players didn't reach England. Oh no, that's not really Starfield. That is to do with Valhalla. Anyway, these are some thoughts if you're interested in how that worked with Starfield and many other bits and pieces related to the game here on True Achievements. The article is fully displayed here on my Twitter. So Todd Howard said that Fallout New Vegas is a very, very important game to us, and then he said it was very, very hard to canonize that for the TV show. There's been a lot of discussion on what direction the TV show will take, and just put it in perspective, if you're not familiar, the new TV series Fallout, which is based on the video game, had been released recently on Amazon, and it's just breaking all records everywhere, from the viewership on Amazon Prime Videos through the sales of the old games and previous Fallout titles. It just skyrocketed. This is like many thousands %, major increase in sales and game distribution and everything else. So definitely worthy of note. And Todd Howard was just saying that they're still considering how to do other things. And he talked about the game and the series on a podcast, which is run by Kind of Funny Games. The Q&A coming from the viewers and from the audience of gamers, and they asked, well, since Bethesda and New Vegas develop Obsidian, both companies are now under the Microsoft umbrella, will there be many more collaboration opportunities? So there'll be more Obsidian involved with the creation of new Fallout. And Todd said that they did an amazing job in New Vegas, and this is a very, very important game, and they did an incredible job, and didn't really want to comment on the future liaison. But he said New Vegas is a very important game to us, and we'll see that anything the show is leading into the events of New Vegas. But he didn't really want to, I guess, put his cards on the table, and they know that there are some complexities which will be quite hard to present. And then he gave us some tips on Season 2. The Season 2 is going to be featuring some of New Vegas, and we are careful about maintaining the key events of that game and the great content which is in it. So it's quite difficult to deal with when you're going back to an area where a game had multiple endings, and then we had some answers, but we do not want to disappoint, and that is fairly hard, particularly in view of our regulars and our kind of game veterans. And he says, well, everybody realizes it's hard to canonize or say this is exactly how the game ended. So whenever we can, I like to avoid this, like don't refute anything that's happened. Be careful when you're specific about what happened. We want that game, and we want basically what the players did to be their reality and to be as close as possible to. Well, it's a different approach to what we've seen with some writers like Michael Connolly and Alan Coben, the most popular crime writers in America. They had a lot of the work adapted for TV series, and Connolly was involved with Bosch, and Coben also with the series made for Netflix. And they decided to change the plot. So anyone who's read the book may be expecting one thing and something else happens. And it's a risky approach, but I think as I watched those series, those episodes, it really kind of helped me, because it grabbed my attention, and I wasn't quite sure how the plot, which I previously read, would actually present itself eventually towards the end. So that kept me in suspense and kept me on my toes literally throughout, and that is what I like. Whether this will work in video gaming is a different matter, particularly like he said, if you have a game that will have separate endings. So it'd be, I don't know, 10, 15, 20, 30 different endings, depending on what game you are looking at. And, like Mass Effect, what ending do you provide? Or, I don't know, Hard Rain, the games that are based on decision taking, which will alter the actual epilogue of the activity. And I guess that needs to be researched more. They're pioneering, you know, to a degree. They have the series now, which is as close to the point as possible. But maybe they'll change. I'll have to see. I think I'm quite curious to see how both series, that is Fallout and The Last of Us 2, The Last of Us, I should say, how they would be progressing in terms of the narrative, because there will be a point at which they'll have to divorce from the video game and then become like a franchise. But you know, we've not gone that route yet, so very early days, I think. All about Starfield. I have loads of different messages and different postings on Twitter about the update. The Insider Gaming is telling us that Starfield is getting land vehicles in the near future. And they said in that overview video, when they were discussing they may update, Tim Lamb, the creative producer, did say that the vehicles are being considered and they've been listening to the community. And I absolutely agree. It's so boring to be walking and exploring some of the planets in Starfield, but it's literally nothing to do but you don't encounter many enemies, there are many skirmishes, and you are trying to find some minerals or items that are necessary for crafting. And you know, a vehicle would really help. It will not be extending the game, but it would be helping us to get to the task quicker and make it a bit more approachable and interesting. And they said that the team is working on their first land vehicle, and you can drive around on planets. And he gave us a very short clip on that video, so that was really quite good. And they're also working on additional quests, and the Shattered Space, as you heard, will be released shortly. So you know, they didn't really tell us when the vehicles will appear in Starfield, what date that's going to be, but I think it's probably likely to be a free update in due course. They didn't mention anything about it in the comments about the next DLC, which is due to arrive on the 15th, so probably in due course. And let me see what else we have here. We talked yesterday about Destiny and Pantheon, and there were some good ideas on what god role one can have if entering some of those activities. So in here you will see, let me just see shortly, get up the slide, it's the Luna's Howl recommended roles for PvE, right? So for instance, I told you yesterday, Paul Tazzy gave us a rundown on 2 weapons and his ideas, and Sakapupu asked me, well, where on earth was he able to get the roles from, and why does he think that these would be the best ones? But I guess he had some tips from developer, and then he also tried some of those on the weapons prior to actual new activity being launched. So on Luna's Howl for PvE, you are getting Fluted Barrel, Flared Magwell, Heal Clip, Incandescent, Reload Speed needs to be masterworked, you're getting Enlightened Action, and Desperate Measures. So that's for PvE, right? And then for PvP, he has got some other perks enabled, but I can't tell you what these are because they're not labeled. And he's got 2 for PvP in there, and one is for 3 versus 3, and the other is for 6 versus 6. So they're quite different. He has got some, let me see what that is. Yeah. So really, it's a recommendation, and I think every one of us needs to tailor the weapons and the gear and the armor according to our own style of game. It's like a one universal best god roll for everyone. You consider how you play, and you'll see what first of all is the best for you, and then what may be seen as very supportive for your team members and your community members who are doing it together with you. Let me see what's happened in here. Suddenly I lost my Twitter. So just bear with me a second. It's all disappeared suddenly. There we are, all coming back. That's very annoying when this happens, you know, just out of the blue, you lose all of that precious information, and then suddenly you feel like you're tapping in the dark. And I'm really tapping in the dark today with my ears. Can't hear a thing, I'm completely deaf. The big news today coming from Respawn, and you probably spot that, is our new legend. Apex Legend is having this new character, and the character is emerging, and you can watch the trailer on my Twitter account. So it's a very nice posting. So who am I? Those asked me right before the live spills from the bodies. Want to know more? Watch my new Apex Legends trailer. It's based on a true story. And we have born from stone with tremendous power, trained in the art of assassination, a hunter of the old ways. If you ask Alta, who are you? She will never give you an honest answer. So there you are. You have our new legend. We have JK Gamer. Hello, how are you doing? Good to see you. Thank you for joining us. I'm just about to wrap up our news bulletin for today. Glad to see you here. How are you doing? Tell us. I can see here on my chat that our friend JK Gamer redeemed... What was this? I can't really see what it is. So, well done, and thank you for joining us. Right, go back to, I need to go back to Apex, because I wanted to tell you a bit more about this. Let me see what the response from Apex community is, because we have lots of people here on our channel who are indeed members of Apex community. Curious to see what the experience of the new character really is. Let me see. Ah, somebody is annoyed that they can't be playing the game, and they said they're fixing their desktop app, and yeah, the thing is, a lot of people got banned on Apex. You know, they have a system through which you can be reporting unpleasant characters, and I have to say that I did have a number of people who came, not that much to my live streams, because I always tell them we are live on air, but people who were playing it with me whilst I was not streaming came across as really abrasive, really unpleasant, you know, bossy and all sorts, and that's something that's not appreciated by anyone. And really Respawn, together with the rest of us, Xbox ambassadors and people who want to be supporting ethical gaming, we want to stamp out any form of misdemeanor of that sort, and that is what's happening. So they're quite brutal with bans, and they're irretrievable after given to certain players, and well, there needs to be the respect to a full respect for, you know, both channel rules and the rules that EA and Respawn have, and that's basically what some of the guys were not complying with. So that's the reason. I need to tell you about the niceties that we are getting on PlayStation. And as you know, if you're a member of the PlayStation Plus community, and if you're subscribed to Premium or any other level, you're getting up to 4 games a month free of charge. And the games that are being offered in the course of next month, this month I should say, the next games we are getting, to be precise, which is May monthly games, are FC24, so that's terrific, Ghost Runner, which I played on Xbox, there's Tunic, that looks like a very, very enjoyable game, and then, most importantly, for all of us who do not have Lightfall on PlayStation, I have it on Xbox, we are getting Lightfall Destiny DLC, the last one, free of charge. So that will make it very easy for people who are doing the Guardian rankings to complete everything free of charge through that freebie. That will come our way in a couple of days, next Tuesday if I'm not mistaken. And then you can have your progression leveled up before the final shape arrives. So that's fantastic news. Lightfall offered for free this month on PlayStation Plus subscription. So if you are wondering whether you should have this subscription, make sure you press that button, subscribe, and get it for free. Because you know what? Otherwise it costs you about $50. Paul Tassi had given us some other thoughts today. In fact, I read his article earlier, and I was interested to hear that he wondered whether the future of Destiny will be similar to that of Marvel superhero games, Guardians of the Galaxy in particular. So just bear with me, I need to get this. Yeah, he says there are lots of rumors, and it's Paul Tassi. He is one of the main writers on Destiny, and he writes for Forbes. Forbes is the business magazine, and a lot of time, a lot of space dedicated to video gaming, seen as spearheading one of the most pertinent sections of American industry. And he said that there's a lot of rumors about all aspects of the MCU as of late, and they're just reporting that the Avengers are resembling, and he said that they were probably wanting to include Sam Wilson, Captain America, Hulk, She-Hulk, Shang-Chi, Moon Knight, and he says that Avengers Endgame wrapped up essentially in a decade-long story. So he talks a bit about all the characters in the series, and he said there were a few exceptions. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 did well. Wakanda Forever, Multiverse of Madness. I agree, actually. Guardians of the Galaxy 3 was excellent. I really loved the film and find it to be absolutely tremendous. And then huge standard is Spider-Man No Way Home, and then a lot of underperforming entries and a huge shift to not widely watched Disney Plus series. Well, true enough, but you know, people like playing games. And he says, well, he wondered as to why he's telling us all about these Marvel superheroes and stuff, and what's the idea, how's that linked to Destiny. And he says, well, he's just really anxious about the wrap-up of that 10-year saga, which is a saga of light and darkness, ending after the final shape. And he said this is going to be representing a final showdown between the Witness and the Traveler, and then with player guardians making the difference in the fight. And he knows, we know also, that immediately after that, Bungie will launch into Destiny 2's first episode. Now, it's going to be no seasons, it's going to be episodes, the episodic content every month of 2024, which is what, well, the concept that this series is moving towards. So these are 3 disconnected stories that will take place in the aftermath of the final shape, and after that there is no clear picture where Destiny goes from here, even if everyone's been promised that it will be continuing in some form. Well, that's exactly what's been said, and I'm quite certain that Destiny will continue in some form. Whether it will split into separate sections, you know, like Legends and Newbies and the future of Destiny, or whether it will be delivered in the same open world, in the same major galaxy, remains to be seen, but that's definitely the idea. And he says, well, the issue here is that many people who play the game may feel like a hard Avengers Assemble ending the series, and something they may return to in order to see the end off and then drift away afterwards. And he said that big problem is that Bungie is not Marvel, and they really badly need player retention to consistently generate live revenue and build bridges to the future projects like Marathon. For all of you who are not familiar, Marathon is the next big project, which is a PvP game. We've seen some trailers also coming out of Bungie indicating what this game is going to look like, but it's a game similar to Overwatch. Doesn't have any resemblance to Destiny, so people who are worried about that are just in the wrong alley. It's not going to happen, and they'll carry on with Destiny and they'll have more content. It will all depend on how the final shape and the episodes and new concept are being taken up by the community. That's the most important thing. So I really don't agree with Tazzy. He's speculating that this might be going down the route of Marvel superheroes and both the games and the films, and there's been no indication so far on any of this, and it's a speculation. But to consider that the alteration of the concept may well be causing a reaction is certainly extremely important in my eyes. Right, so let me see what else we have. We have some blockbusters. We have quite a few classic Star Wars games available on Xbox, and also there's huge anticipation about Star Wars Outlaws, which is what I'm also eagerly expecting, waiting for. And they said that there's plenty to celebrate in May on the Xbox and both Game Pass and Xbox stores. So you can be continuing the story of Cal Kestis in Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and that is on Game Pass. You can pre-order Star Wars Outlaws and get ready to experience the first ever open world that Star Wars game later this year ever had. That's going to be day one on Series X and S. And then you have also other games, Star Wars Dark Forces Remaster, Star Wars Squadrons. You have Star Wars Outlaws. Well, I think the majority of these are on the Game Pass, and some of these perhaps you can just get on the store. So depending on what you prefer, but certainly quite a few Star Wars titles on Xbox and Game Pass. And I'd say that Survivor and the other one, which was preceding it, I can't remember the title off the top of my head, are the games that you definitely want to be playing. May the Force be with you, they say. And Star Wars Outlaws will come out day one on Xbox. You can pre-order, and it will be launching later this year on August the 30th. Unless it suffers another delay, we'll see. But that definitely is looking very good. Very, very happy about what I've seen about Outlaws so far. Looking forward to it. We've seen something that concerned me, and Push Square are reporting that classic Horizon Zero Dawn will be set to leave PS Plus Extra. I don't know why. Horizon Zero Dawn is PlayStation exclusive, and they said that the exclusive will stay there, I wouldn't say indefinitely, but for definitely a long while. I purchased it incidentally a little while back, so I have the Ultimate Edition of Horizon Zero Dawn, so it's not going to affect me, but it will be affecting everyone else who's a subscriber. You know, similar to the experience of Destiny. Destiny said it's going to be on Xbox for Game Pass for many years, and all the content will be included, and blah 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 blah. And then we had Beyond Light, and after that they departed, and that was it. A disagreement with Microsoft, a change of direction. Well, hard to tell. But it seems to me that it's a similar sort of thing with this game. It should be as an exclusive on PlayStation Plus, but they decided to take it down on the 21st of May. So if you're not in possession of a hard copy or the digital one, make sure you download today and play it until 21st of May. It's a fantastic game. It's one of the best RPGs, adventure, stroke, whatever type of genre. Really enjoyable, and in every way the game fulfilled the expectations. Obviously had a very successful sequel. It's become the whole title now turned into a franchise, and one of the best games on PlayStation I played. So I really love it in every way. Particularly like the lead character. I think she's wonderful. So they say the game isn't appearing in the membership's last chance to play section, but if you button through its store page, the expiry date of 21st of May is listed, and it's the same day for 25 of these other PS5, PS4 and Classic titles, which will be leaving PlayStation Plus Extra. So also the service does have the complete edition, so all the expansion and everything else is in it. And so it's a speculation, you know, and they also speculating that perhaps this is linked to long-rumored remake of Horizon Zero Dawn. The game's not that old. It doesn't have really too much of the old gen sort of visuals or components, certainly for myself, and I'd be surprised if they went down that route. But you know, everything is possible, and we have to wait and see. Because I was very surprised to see that they were doing the Last of Us remaster of 2, and it's already come out just a couple of years ago. But at the end of the day, they had fantastic sales with the games, a huge amount of people who both buying it for the first time and then playing it. So you know, they had more muscle in terms of what they wanted to do. And he did say, I mean, Druckmann saying in interviews that they're making a game right at a time where things were just altering for the next gen console. So there's logic behind it, but still, you know, it just seems to be a bit strange that these are new games already being remastered, are being brought to the new level. But on the other hand, it tells you the tech is rapidly moving forward, and we have an unbelievable amount of technical development, which is affecting the way these games are produced and made, the way they look, the way they operate, and everything else. So that might be one of the reasons. So don't quote me on this, but they're speculating that there will be a new remake. So not remaster, it's a remake, making it new from scratch, right? So hang on a minute. Yeah, it's a remake, not a remaster. Call of Duty crossover featuring Fallout and others could be coming. It's also speculation coming from Insider Gaming. They're telling us that this is a possibility. Well, really? And they said might be on the horizon for Modern Warfare 3. And data miners of Modern Warfare 3 and Warzone Season came across references teasing crossover events for Season 4, which are featuring Fallout, Gundam, and The Crow. So, again, another speculation. I'm not 100% sure that this will be happening. But on the other hand, you know, Activision, Bethesda, part of the same gaming family. You never know, all is possible. And as reported by Insider Gaming, the next game in the series will be set during the Gulf War and feature a more open world campaign. Well, I'll look forward to that. I thoroughly enjoyed Warzone and its open world and its map, and Verdansk is the place where we spent a lot of time during the pandemic, and I want to see that back again. Well, on Destiny events, somebody had designed their own Destiny 2 Into the Light PvP maps, and they said that the new PvP pack will be arriving next week, and therefore he has given us these maps. So let me just have a look. They're really well designed, and I think if you're interested in playing PvP as part of the Into the Light event, then it may be a very good idea for you to download the maps, because tell you exactly where certain sections are, and that will be to your advantage, you know, if you are a PvP player. So you have that both on my Twitter, 3 maps he offered, and then the same posting is also on Destiny 2 events. So one way or the other, either go to Destiny 2 events or go to my Twitter, you'll find it, the posting is there. And it tells you really what the maps are going to be like. PlayStation will release several new games this month. We have on May the 9th 2 games coming out, Animal Well and Crow Country. Then on May the 16th, it's one of the most hotly anticipated PC releases coming from PlayStation, and that's of course Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. This is a wonderful game. Everyone needs to play it. It's just really, truly captivating in every way, from its story to the visuals to the narrative, the environment, the characters, the dialogue, you name it. Everything is fantastic. It's one of the best games ever made on PlayStation. And to be getting Tsushima's Director's Cut, which has been asked for quite some time for PCs, well, this is a relief to everyone, and it's coming out on May the 16th. The other game I'm really excited to see on PlayStation is System Shock. I played that game many years back. This is a new version, System Shock remake, and it was a fabulous hot game in the 90s, so I played on my PC, and I really want to see that as soon as possible. May the 21st, hurry up please, will you? And then we have May 23rd. Until then, May the 31st, F1 24. So these games are, I think F1 24 was, I'm not really an expert on sports games, but if I'm not mistaken, that was on Xbox as well, on the Game Pass. So these are the news linked to the new game releases on PlayStation. And then we have also a couple of bits of news coming from Tom Warren, and he was telling us that Xbox Cloud Gaming will be supporting the ability to manage game saves from the web or Samsung Smart TVs, and that's going to allow you to get out of a bad spot or start the game over again. So it's going to be a major improvement for your Wi-Fi connectivity and your game saves on those platforms, and that's something new. I've also seen they were doing something else with themes. Yeah, they're also changing themes so you can be viewing your own concept art instead of the automated one that comes together with the game which you launched, or indeed the one you would have been, I guess, authorizing through your settings. So it's a new system. I guess it will be similar to what you have on PlayStation. PlayStation automatically loads the concept art and slideshows from the games which you are currently accessing or attempting to see, you know, on your menu. So that's more advanced, and I think Xbox is catching up with that. We have from Don't Nod a very, very good selection of screenshots. They're introducing Swan, and she is the protagonist on Lost Records, and I'm really curious to see what the game's going to look like. I loved, that was probably my favorite clip, my favorite trailer during the Idea of Xbox presentation early in the week, and looked just fantastic. Looked very much like Blair Witch Project meeting Life is Strange. At the end, she says, "If you're watching this videotape, well, I'm dead," and then she cuts out. So a lot to be expecting from the game. Don't Nod, one of my favorite developers, and so many fantastic games made the series like Life is Strange and the game like a Vampire. And I keep forgetting the title of the game that came out last week, which was about climbing. It was a very, very good game, very different visually compared to the series that we previously been used to from them, and this one very visually and in concept looks very much like Life is Strange, their most successful series. So really very excited about it, and that game's coming out soon. And let me just have a look. They put Lost Records in there on wish list. See what I've got there. Just head to my Twitter. Oh yeah, that's right. Head to my Twitter and have a look at those screenshots. They look really beautiful. And in here, that is going to be late 24. I know that the exact date was not released during the presentation, so it's Lost Records Bloom and Rage, narrative adventure, choices matter, female lead, and you have 4 girls there right at the top. And they say rewind back to 1995, going back in time, bring it back to Blair Witch Project. And Lost Records Bloom and Rage, a brand new narrative adventure from the creative minds behind the critically acclaimed series Life is Strange. And from your last summer in Velvet Cove, playing a Swan, a quirky introvert who loves capturing reality through the lens of a trusty camcorder. So the magical summer of 1995 is one of self-discovery and forging unbreakable bonds for high school friends Swan, Nora, Autumn and Kat. 27 years of no contact later, fate reunites them to confront the long-buried secret that made them promise to never ever speak again. What really happened that summer is the question. I want to find out. And if you watch the trailer, and you should watch the trailer, go to my Twitter and watch it. You will be mesmerized. You will be curious. You will be asking the same question. So you have there a puzzle. Match each girl with the favorite items. So you can try that. 95 summer screenshots. Shape of the narrative and both timelines. Honestly, it just looks so appetizing. And if you go to the bottom of the page, 2 trailers, lots of screenshots, and it's just, the best possible. I love Dontnod. I just hope they never ever sway towards big productions and major big corporates, that they stay really as independent minded as they've always been, with some fantastic quality products and titles. Yeah, just telling you about the Tom Warren is also describing the dashboard feature, and he says Microsoft testing out the ability of Xbox consoles to be streaming multiple Wi-Fi networks. No, that's not it. Hang on a minute. That was the thing about, I probably don't have it here. It was the message about concept art, your own art being thrown into the themes, so it becomes more dynamic and you become more in control of this. Right, we've seen the extra games, and I think that's probably all I have for today. Lengthy news bulletin, but don't forget we had combined our community activity together with the actual hot off the press news today, so a bit longer than usual, but hopefully interesting to everyone. And also, if you are connecting with our last few sessions and our few podcasts from last few days, you know that I talked a lot about Pantheon. And there's a major posting on my Twitter indicating what you need to be doing in order to get to Pantheon and what you need to do within the arena, i.e. your loadout, your armor, everything that you need in order to be as successful as possible. Because it is like raiding. You have 1 life and you'll die, and then you have other team members in there who need to be surviving. There's no revive. Sekapoop was telling me yesterday that there are some is it perks or so, I'm not sure, which will be enabling, I think, 2nd or 3rd revive, but I've not tried it. And yesterday we were not able to get our community squad on board, as people have not tried it themselves and they didn't want to be, I guess, coming in for the first time and just dying all the time, and it was just not something they wanted to do. So I'm still waiting for the volunteers to come in for a team of 6 in order to have a first run to present it to the world. I'll see whether we get somebody today. If we do, we'll try it. I certainly will be killed early, and I'm not really leveled up, I think, as yet. It's high enough for that activity, but I'm just curious. There's been a lot said. Anyway, anyone who wants to find out more about Pantheon, just go to my Twitter and enter the posting, which is there since yesterday. And it tells you all about what you need to do, first of all, to get there. I'll give you a tip. Go to Lord Shaxx, pick up the quest that gives you access. That's most important. And then go into Onslaught, and after that, crack on with Pantheon. Make sure you read the information on the best loadout and the best gear. All right, I think that's probably all I have for you today. That is all that the news bulletin was going to give you, everything I prepared for today. And I thank you for your attention, for your time, for your listening of my words of wisdom and all of my descriptions and everything I told you about. Thank you for your patience, as this podcast did turn out to be longer than usual, but hopefully you did receive some interesting information and some pointers on what you can be doing if you want to play Destiny, if you want to go to Pantheon, if you want to be doing Starfield, if you want to be collecting Xbox freebies, if you want to be collecting stuff that PlayStation will throw you away in May. The list just goes on and on. There's been a lot to talk about, and although we didn't have that many news coming in overnight on the wire, those that did arrive were substantial, and we know how big Starfield is and what Todd Howard and Bethesda want to do with the new update and how they want to be progressing, both with Fallout's franchise and with everything they have on their plate at the moment. So altogether, definitely a lot to talk about and plenty of information that will be of interest to everyone. Right, so what I'll do now is I'll have a short break, and after that I'll tell you all about Destiny. We have podcast number 2, how Destiny was made by Bungie, or Destiny, how were you made by Bungie? The title is Destiny Bungie Masterpiece, and everything about Destiny. In the last podcast we talked about Destiny from the perspective of a gamer, so all the ins and outs of how you need to play it, what you need to do, how you build your character, what these characters are about. But today we'll be looking at the synopsis, i.e. the narrative, the story, which is extremely complicated and still fairly unclear to me. And then we'll be exploring the ways to which they developed the game from the beginning. So that is to follow. I have a short break, about 10-15 minutes, and then once I come back, we'll have a podcast dedicated to that. So thank you so much for your attention. Thank you for being here with us today. I thank you for your contributions, and just coming back to what we need to always remember, this is a charitable fundraising stream. I'm raising funds for a British-based charity called Mind. So remember, subscribe, support, donate, and therefore help our charities. You can donate as much or as little as you want, but every single bit of your donations will help those people who need it the most. First of all, the charity, and secondly, the users of their services. So thank you for that. Keep this in mind. Keep it coming with your donations. I wish you all a very, very good afternoon, and I'll see you a bit later.